Now, the attorney Jason Setchen is with me, the founder of the law firm Athlete Defender. It's good to see you, sir. I'm grateful for this. Now, look, here's an interesting one, isn't it? Because clearly Scheffler did not intend to break the law. And this idea that he assaulted a police officer is somewhat disingenuous because the police officer grabbed the car and got dragged. But it doesn't mean he didn't technically commit the offence of failing to stop and failing to obey, does it?
Well, it doesn't. But with any criminal case, intent is everything, right? The intent, the mindset of the individual that allegedly committed the act. And in this situation, as anyone that's been to a large-scale sporting event, particularly a golfing event of this size, knows, it's chaotic when you're trying to go into the course. Most golf courses are not set up for large crowds. There's usually one way in and one way out, and you tend to get a bottleneck when you're trying to go into the facility. And so with a lot of times, in my experience, players are instructed to get to the course early, and even if there's traffic there or security, to identify themselves either through the vehicle having markings on it. In this case, I understand that was what happened.
It was, yeah. It did.
And try to get around the security so that they can get into the facility and go through their pre-match routine, which is critical to their performance.
The other aspect, of course, is, and we're going to focus on this, and it's highly likely that the police will be found to have overreacted in many cases, in this case. But it does. We're only getting to that point because he is one of the most famous golfers in the world, and he is the number one. If it was you or well, me, not you, then it would be a very different story.
Well, it would, but again, it also depends on what he was told when he was on his way to the facility or how to go about entering the facility. If he was told to go around security, that there may be traffic or fans or things going on, and he needs to get inside to just go around the outside, tell them who he is or whatever he was instructed to do, and that's exactly what he might have done, and he couldn't identify that it was a police officer. I don't believe that there's anything that's been reported that he knew that there had been a tragic event that had occurred prior to his pulling up to the facility. So again, that created additional chaos that he wasn't aware of. And so as he's walking or driving up to the facility, there's all of these things going on, and he's not aware of exactly why they're going on. And he's just trying to get in to go to his pre-match routine. Remember, this man is an athlete at the highest level in the world. He's the world's #1 golfer, and he has a routine. And so in his mind, he's hyper-focused to get inside and get started on his pre-match routine so that he can do what he needs to do in the tournament. And so with all of this going on, he may just simply not have known what was happening and been following what he thought were the orders he was given. I would also point out in the video that I watched, which was the video that was released this morning, there was a reporter involved, and he was talking to an officer who was basically telling him, I think most people have seen that by now, that officer's green jacket that he was wearing, that rain jacket, it didn't have any police markings on it. On the front of it. I watched the video a few times. It didn't say police on the front there. I don't believe that was the officer in the incident, but if other officers were there wearing those rain jackets and the one officer that was involved in the incident came up to the car wearing that jacket and it didn't have police markings on it, who's to say that he even knew that he was law enforcement?
Do you think, quick question, to finish off, do you think all this gets dropped and goes away?
I think it'll depend on, a lot of times police officers wear body cameras, and I believe Louisville probably, their police department does have body cameras on. They will have body cameras on. So if they did, I would be curious to see what the footage shows and how the interaction went. I think ultimately it should be at least looked at very closely by the prosecutor's office, who ultimately will decide what to charge in this case, and should be considered to be dropped based on the information that at least that has been put out so far.
And just quickly, I don't know which bit of it is. It does seem that they do have, or at least large parts of Louisville Metro Police do wear body cameras. Sir, I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you for giving us some.
I'm grateful to you. Thank you for having me on, Richard. I appreciate it.